Hello, my lovely soul, and welcome to Unstoppable Confidence. I am your host, Lauren Glick. I am here to bring you my energy, my motivational speaking, and me being a confidence mentor. My mission is to inspire women to own who they are, step into their higher selves fearlessly, and live a life with unstoppable joy. On this show, we are going to cover everything from aligning your life to your higher self, setting boundaries, self-growth, and living a purpose-driven life. Let's get you living a meaningful life you cannot wait to wake up to. Stop driving and start living with ease and abundance. Cheers to living a magical life. And I am so grateful to be on this journey with you. Now, let's head into today's episode. So, Alyssa, I just wanted to say thank you for joining in today with all the listeners. I am Lauren, your host of Unstoppable Confidence, and today we have Alyssa, who I have been connected with for a very long time. I absolutely love her and her energy and what she's all about. She is an attorney and she helps other entrepreneurs with their legal matters, but also she is really into energy and crystals, which to me, I was like, she's like one of those really good attorneys. I don't know why I wanted to say that, Alyssa, but some attorneys, you just never know, right?
It's true. It's true.
So I would absolutely love for you to introduce yourself, Alyssa, to the listeners today.
All right. Thank you, Lauren, so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I feel like this is a long time coming and we just have not been able to get it to nail it down. So I'm so happy that we are finally doing this. And
Me too.
I am Alyssa, obviously. I am an attorney and I work with online coaches, other entrepreneurs, and I specialize in, contracts, intellectual property protection, small business law, anything really small business law is what I specialize in. But I also, I have I like to follow what lights me up. And so I recently started a crystal shop that I absolutely love. And so I'm really into, and the reason that I like to speak of the legal piece in more of not necessarily like the nuts and bolts of like what I'm doing for you and how I'm protecting you, which we can absolutely get into, but I really love talking about what getting legal protection actually really does for you as a CEO and what it does to make your business really skyrocket. So that's kind of where I like to come from in that piece.
And that's such a good point to start out with, Alyssa, as especially online. And I know I don't want to jump right into, somebody on, maybe I'll save that story, Alyssa. But because remember we were connected to that one woman that was super freaked out that she was going to get sued or somebody tried to steal her content. And having that protection, especially on social media, it seems like it's a newer classification, or maybe that's just me because it's social media with all these new coaches online. How do you protect yourself as a coach online, and why is it so important?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things, but if we're talking about, first thing, if we're talking about someone stealing your content on Instagram, which is like the context of what happened with the woman that we were connected with. Yeah. And so essentially what happens is, I mean, I think it's not necessarily a new thing where people are stealing it's definitely not a new thing where people are stealing intellectual property. I think it's new. Social media provides a new opportunity for those that desire to copy someone and steal their content to easily do it. And I think that that's kind of something that's new and we're still navigating, but there's two different approaches to this, right? So we're going to start if someone copies your content or copies your profile on Instagram,
Exactly.
so that basically is, if someone is copying your content is, so this is like essentially the difference between trademarks and copyright, right? So if you create a post, or if you create a, if you create a post, let's just use that simplified. You create a post with a photo that you've taken or someone's taken of you, and you write a whole caption. That, just by the fact that that's your original content, has inherent copyright protection. So there's nothing that you need to do, or no registrations, or really like anything legal that you need to necessarily do, as long as you can prove that you were the person that created this original content. So if you see someone on Instagram that copied your content, that is copyright infringement. It just is. It is by the virtue of the fact that you created this post. So
interesting, because there are those fake profiles of influential people. They're not like huge. Maybe they have, 20, 30,000 followers. I have a lot of people that I follow like in real estate, and they have these like fake different accounts that people literally copy paste everything. So that's what you're talking about in that sense.
Yeah. Okay. So in that sense, Instagram is usually, I think it's, honestly, I think it's the way that I don't know, but the way that Instagram seems to work, because when my Instagram was hacked, I had no recourse whatsoever. And I think the way that Instagram works is, if you're verified, or if you have a certain number of followers, they're like very helpful to you.
Oh, gosh.
if this happens to you, right? So this has happened to a couple of people I know that have not had that many followers, and they were able to get, as they were keeping up with the new accounts that have been created, they were able to get those accounts taken down for copyright infringement.
And that was only because they had a certain amount of followers, or because they had that blue check?
No, I'm just saying, I think that with the blue check, they're a little bit quicker, maybe. They're a little bit more, they care a little bit more, I guess. But I've had people with not as many followers that I know able to get those certain accounts taken down that have copied them. So it is possible. And there's no registration that you necessarily need in order to do that. It's just like being able to prove that you were the first person to put out this content, and that in fact is you, and you were the original account. Right. So, but if on the other hand, if somebody were to copy, let's say someone was using Unstoppable Confidence in a way that you felt was infringing on your brand and confusing people and making people think that they were the original person to use Unstoppable Confidence, right? That's your overarching brand. So for that, if you were finding that, you would only be able to really take action against that legally and through Instagram if you have a registered trademark. So that's how they can show that your branding or your program name or something like that is in fact yours. Otherwise, there's really no way to prove that.
Can they go, because it's interesting, somebody recently did start another Unstoppable Confidence podcast, but they put "the" in front of it and then podcast at the end. So I'm assuming that has all the open-ended, like, no, that's not copyright.
Yeah. Well, that would be, so if you had a registered trademark, that would be trademark infringement. So essentially, like, that's interesting how they got around that, because if they were to just put Unstoppable Confidence into wherever you have your podcast registered, they wouldn't be, there's no way to like, Apple won't accept the same name. Yeah. But because they put "the" in podcast, they were able to get it through. And so if you had a registered trademark and you didn't like that, you could send them a cease and desist letter, and you could also write to, we could work with the podcast company, I guess, companies, the podcast hosts or whatever you want to call them, to get that taken down, because they're technically infringing on your.
Interesting, Alyssa. I didn't even think about this until like we just started talking about it a couple seconds ago, and I was like, "Oh, that's an interesting topic. Look at this. This literally happened last week." So I'm like, "Is it too late to make a trademark?"
No, it is not too late. It is not too late. it's never too late. And like what I'll say to all your listeners,
Yeah.
especially because you've been the first. So here's the thing, like you've been the first to use this, and
Yeah.
you've been, as far as I know, you've had your podcast for a while,
A
right? Like
year now.
at least a year. Yeah. So that's really beautiful. Like that's really great evidence that that it's yours, right? Like that brand is yours. So like if you were to, because that's one of the things when we do trademark applications that they take into consideration is, when did you start using this mark? How are you using it? Are you using it out in the world right now? And like, are you using it in the way that you say you are when you're trying to trademark? So like there's a bunch of different categories that you can do. So for you, it would be a podcast. So they would want to make sure before you get a registered trademark that you in fact have a podcast called Unstoppable Confidence and you've published it. So that's but I will say too, for your listeners, that you don't actually have to have all that in place in order to to start the trademark application process. You just have, they won't give you the registration until they see that you are actually actively using it, but you have time to develop that if you want to essentially reserve the brand.
Interesting. Yeah. So for all the listeners out there, it goes definitely, it's as Alyssa is saying, both ways. If you already have that branding, you could get that trademark, and you could also get it before your bulk of content is out there.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
And I will say that that's really important. I had a client recently that actually received a cease and desist letter from a company before, because she hasn't trademarked, she hasn't done trademarks, or she hasn't done anything. And she messaged me and was like, what do I do here? And well, there's not a whole lot you can do. You have to rebrand because that trademark is already owned.
So if I don't trademark and this other new podcast decides to trademark it, they could send a cease and desist letter to me.
Yes, but yeah.
Okay, well, I guess I have no option.
Yeah, if you were to not trademark and not do a search and not do anything, and then they got in before you, the only way that you could stop them from actually getting registered as a trademark is there is an opposition period. So if you were to catch that during the opposition period and explain why you should have the trademark over this person, or why they shouldn't be registered, that's like a very small window too. Like it's not so, and that's not something, it's published in like on the USPTO website, Trademark Gazette. Like it's not, there's nowhere else really that you could find it. So that's something that.
Wow, Alyssa, I think this is divine intervention right now of like, and it's so interesting because the past couple episodes of my podcast, I've been saying this because like something comes up and I'm like, oh boy, no wonder we delayed so much because this happened. I found this other podcast literally last week on Thursday. So there was a reason. And it's interesting because we were talking a lot before this and that didn't even come up. It wasn't even a thought in my brain.
Yeah.
So we will be talking after this podcast.
Yeah, we will definitely need to, because this is going to be, this podcast is growing so much that it's really important. Like, and you don't want people to be confused and look online and be like, well, which one is the one that I'm supposed to be listening to? Like there's two. Yeah. I mean,
interesting, Alyssa.
Yeah.
I will. That's interesting. And for everyone out there listening as well, really keeping, and that's the thing is like, how did I even find that other podcast? I think I don't really remember, honestly. I wasn't on Spotify. I had to go check on Spotify. I think I was checking Confidence Coaches on social media. She has about 5 episodes. So she's super brand new. So interesting for anyone out there, always keeping on top of, and that's the thing. It's like, it shouldn't be your focus, but at the same time, just making sure that you're aware with like trademarks and what's going on out there on social media within your brand.
Yeah. And it's so important because knowing that even if all you do, like, because trademarking, sure, it's an investment, right? But if all you do is have someone do a trademark search for you, so you know what's out there and you know that you can in fact use your brand, and there's nothing that could be, there's no legal problems that could occur, there's no risks. you like, that is so important. That is like step one, because you just want to feel confident in your branding, right? Like, you want to be like, all right, I can use this. I can use unstoppable confidence everywhere. I can blast it everywhere. No
Yeah.
one's gonna, no one's gonna say I'm not gonna get a cease and desist letter from a large company and get,
Yeah.
because honestly, I've worked for very large law firms, and I've
Mm-hmm.
seen the way that they have trademark enforcement practices, right? Like, a lot of them, and I've seen the way that large companies go after smaller companies
Ugh.
in like
Ugh.
that are remotely for trademark infringement, even if it's not necessarily trademark infringement. If they see that it's a little bit similar, they will
Wow.
go after you and scare you out of using that branding. So I think it's so important to make sure that you have a trademark and that your branding is free and clear, because
Yeah.
you don't want that to happen to you. That's
Yeah.
scary. And like, if you're established in your space and you have
Mm-hmm.
to totally rebrand, like, that's going to be costly, and
Yeah.
it's going to hurt your brand. It's just not great. Like, we don't want that to happen.
Interesting, Alyssa. And that's
Yeah.
so true, is having that trademark and knowing who else is out there, so that you're building a community and you're not going to
Mhm.
confuse them within like a year or two with having to rebrand,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
that will really hurt your business.
Yeah. So absolutely
And
it
I'm
will. It
laughing because
can.
I'm like, oh, my podcast is growing. Okay, well, yeah, this is a good time to figure that shit out.
Yes, definitely. And I'll
So,
say to anybody, like, it's always a good time. Like,
yeah.
doesn't matter where you are in your business, if this is something that you want to do, like, it's always a good time to do it. Like, there's never a bad time to
Yeah.
start trademarking and protecting yourself.
I love that, Alyssa.
Yeah.
And that makes a lot of sense. So if you're out there and you have a good branding idea or concept, or just getting started with it, 100%. Yes, Alyssa is your girl, as you could tell. It's just like, oh boy, of course, Alyssa's schooling me on my on unstoppable confidence. She's schooling me right now of like, oh boy, if I still wanted to have unstoppable confidence, I might as well just figure that shit out.
Yes. It's a good idea.
And I think it's, as you could tell, everyone, Alyssa does have a lot of knowledge within the social media aspect of legal. And is there, because you also do contracts and all the great things, what is another expertise that you have been working with your clients on recently with entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so I really think that depending on, like, having a contract with
Yeah.
your clients is one of the most important things you can do to protect yourself. But then it also, I like to say that it's kind of like, a lot of people see that as contentious. When they think of a contract,
Yeah.
they think like, oh, like, my coach is making me sign this, and like, I have no rights. And that's just not what it's about, right? It's about protecting the relationship on both sides. So yeah, of course you're going to protect yourself by saying, protecting your income, protecting your intellectual property in a contract, making sure that your liability is limited, all of that.
Yeah.
But it also really is an energetic contract that shows that you're going to deliver what you're going to deliver, and your client can expect like these things when they work with you, right? And then it's also for your client. So like, you're going to do what you say you're going to do when your client is energetically, there's an energetic exchange there, which is often a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
And so it's important for your client to know that, yes, okay, so these are the things that I can expect every month when I'm working with this, or however you work with someone, like, these are the things I can expect when I work with this person.
Yeah.
Versus, and then also you can also put into a contract, boundaries around like when you're available and when you'll respond to emails, when you respond to messages, when, if like, do you not want your client to text you? Like, tell that, put that in the contract. Like, hey, I have a no texting policy with my clients, like that kind of thing. And hey, I'll respond between 9 a.m., 5 p.m. PST, Monday through Thursday. The rest of it, please allow, like, like that kind of thing is really important. And then also, it's important to put in your expectations of your client, especially if you're a coach and you want to make sure that your client is utilizing you to the fullest potential. Like, what do you want from your client? Do you want your client to just come prepared for every call? Do you want them to do, their homework in the middle and make sure that they're communicating with you effectively. Like there's so many things that I think it's really important to put into the agreement to make sure that you're getting like, yes, you're getting paid by this person, but this person wants to get their money's worth. And like, if they do the things that you say, then they will. You know, a lot of people just pay money and are like, cool, like now I'm going to change. Like my business is going to grow. I don't need to do anything. And it's like, no, actually.
No, it's like you actually have to do that work too,
exactly.
which is the most important part. And I really liked those boundaries and the outlines of what clients should expect and expect from their coach to show up. I truly do believe that the best businesses are run with those clear guidelines, because then the client knows what they're expecting. And it's just when people know what's going on, it's a lot easier for a business to run. So
exactly. Yeah. And it's like, it's not just coaches, like everything kind of has a contract or some sort of an agreement with it. I just like to use coaches because there's an exchange there.
Yes.
That really comes from both like you as the coach showing up and the client showing up and the communication in between. So like, that's a really easy example. And, you know, if you as the client don't do the work and just kind of show up to coaching calls, it's like, you're not going to get out of it what you paid, you know? So I think that's something that's really important too.
Completely agree. It's like that work aspect actually gets you to the results rather than just paying a coach and expecting this miracle.
Right. 100%.
Yeah. So I love that, Alyssa. And as we were talking before, Alyssa, I think a really important conversation to have today is so Alyssa, she works 9 to 5 and she's been working 9 to 5 as an attorney. And I think it's really important, Alyssa, to talk about your new journey and how you were able to like get to make those big leaps to entrepreneurship. So I would love for you to tell that story for sure.
Yeah. So I haven't really, I mean, nobody really like, I don't know if people know unless you know me, but I have been working full time and running my business. And it's just gotten to a point, and well, it's beyond gotten to a point where I'm just so burnt out. And I feel like most of my time is spent not building my dream. And so I've been like really gearing myself up to take the leap. And like, I've had a lot of fear around it because, you know, I mean, I'm sure there's people out there that can relate and are in the same boat, right? Like I've got this on one route, I've got this comfortable salary, like security. I know that I'm always going to make X amount of money every year. Right. And every month. And so it's taken me a really long time to say, well, I didn't sign up I didn't start my law firm. I didn't start my crystal shop. I didn't start these things to be side hustles. I started them to grow and create the financial freedom and impact that I desire to make and help who I desire to help. Right. And I didn't start this journey to live in burnout all the time. And that's kind of how I've been living for the past couple of years. And it's just been really I'm not having fun, and I haven't been creating the freedom that I desire. And so I finally was like, you know what? It's time. There is never a good time.
No.
You know, you think that you're like, okay, I need to have X in savings and I need this. And it's like, yeah, you know, that number is going to continuously grow. If you're me, I was like, okay, well, maybe I don't have enough yet. Like, maybe I need to keep growing. Maybe I need to like keep working because I know it's easy. Like, it's just, you know, there's never a good time to jump and leap. No. But when you do, the universe responds, right? Like, the universe rewards people that takes huge risks. And so I finally was like, you know what? I've been, you know, my business grows, but it grows to the extent that I am available for it to grow. Yeah. And, you know, there have been times recently where the 9 to 5 has really sucked the life out of me and taken a lot of my, you know, most of my hours during the week, and really kind of been something that is a burden to me because I haven't been able to build my dream because I've just been left with nothing. My cup is just empty. And
Yeah.
so I just decided, as much as like there's fear there, it's time because
Yeah.
I don't know, like, let's play and what's possible, like I know that there's so much possible for me out there that isn't capped in a 9 to 5.
Mm.
Right? Like I've really been, I've been working hard at my business, but I haven't been able to really put myself out there in the way that I desire to put myself out there and really like hold as many clients as I can hold because I've just had like 90% of my time being I have to be at this computer, be serious, work on things that I don't care about, and that's something that I not, like I just, not helping the people I really desire. And I'm really passionate about helping entrepreneurs protect their business before shit hits the fan. Like that's
Yeah.
my passion, right? And like that's what I love about being an attorney. I don't love being an attorney working for a big law firm, like grinding out stuff that is not helping the people that I want to help. And so it's just been, I just I decided to go for it.
Mm.
So yeah.
No, I
Excited.
absolutely love that, Alyssa. And you made so many good points and that's what we talk about Unstoppable Confidence a lot of understanding that fear is just an emotion and that you're going to have it when you have big decisions, but being able to move through it.
Yeah.
And as I talk about me kind of moving through my financial investment with my franchise, I had to take a lot of steps back and be able to breathe through the fear of these big steps that I'm going through. And I think that's really important, Alyssa, that you did mention the fear and you have been trying to make that move and it's never the right time, but you finally decided, enough is enough. Like I'm finally at the point where I understand that it's never the right time and I'm just going to do it. And that decision of finally making that step of taking that one step of courage and being like, I'm sending off this email or I'm going to talk to my boss to finally do this thing.
Yeah.
And I had another episode with, his name was Vinny, and he's a mindset coach, and he was actually a firefighter as well. And he made a good assimilation of not, he said about like just burning the boat of your past. Like if you always have that boat in your harbor of like your safety net, it's always going to be there and you're not going to be able to grow within your new endeavors that you've always wanted to grow with. And he was like, I could be a firefighter and I could be a mindset coach, but I will always have that salaried income as a firefighter, and I will never push myself to grow in my business to the extent of the possibilities that I know I have.
100%. And like, how can you hold? Like, I've had this conversation. Like, I've done a lot of work around this. Like, don't think I did not just jump. Like, this has been
we're not jumping aimlessly. We're definitely doing work around it, right?
Like, there's been a lot of work around the fear, a lot of NLP like techniques that I've been doing to really get myself to this point. And I think one of the things that I've kind of come to terms with is like I could never hold $1 million business, or like multiple 6-figure business even. How can I hold that when I don't have the time or the energy or the space, right?
Yeah.
So and I know that this path is going to lead, like, I've done a lot of work around, my success is inevitable. I have the evidence to see, I have 2 years worth of evidence to see that my, like, people desire to work with me. Right. And like, and so I finally, and I have to, I have all of that and like, but I haven't been able to really just make the jump and like hold, lots of clients at a time because I just haven't had the time and haven't had the energy. And like, then it's like social media and promoting myself has been last priority because I'm just tired, frankly, my cup is empty. And so now I'm really excited for this new chapter where I get to actually really connect with people and, hold so much more.
Yeah. And we've been talking about this for quite a while, Alyssa, and I think it's really important to really focus in on the fact that it wasn't just a random thought in your brain and you were just like, oh, I'm just going to leap and it's going to happen. It's been over a year of us, talking back and forth of, and getting to know each other, that Alyssa has been thinking about this. So doing the work around it, making sure
Yeah.
that it's feasible for you, you have a plan, and you've been doing the inner work as well. And I really want to ask you, with your NLP work, Alyssa, what is one thing that you have been doing to really be able to finally make that final decision?
Yeah, so I've been using certain NLP techniques to move through this.
Yeah.
So NLP is incredible. If y'all have never heard of NLP, I actually recently got certified in January, and I'm working towards getting coaching. And that's another thing. Like, I didn't have the space to have coaching clients and help people the way that I desire to help them, because I just didn't have, the time capacity, right? Or the energy capacity. And so NLP is essentially learning to work with your subconscious mind, and really, really helps you rewire to create the reality that you desire to create, essentially, right?
Yeah.
So, which is so cool, because if anyone here knows me, I'm really into energy manifestation, like really like playing in the quantum, like all of that is really like something that I think is really like I've really subscribed to. But also, when I started my NLP journey, I realized this is essentially the scientific basis for, the Abraham Hicks that I'm listening to, that says, like, raise your vibration, create your reality. What do you want out of your life? But you really can do that.
Yes.
And you can get rid of the fear. Not get rid of the fear. I'm sorry. I shouldn't say that, because there's always fear, but you can get to a point where you're ready to take these major steps, and your subconscious is ready. Because here's the thing. So your subconscious your brain doesn't know the difference between reality and something that you're dreaming and you're visualizing and you're writing down. Like, your brain does not know the difference. So if whatever you are saying to yourself, your brain is going to find a way to make it happen, or find the evidence that already exists. So if you're like, I don't really I could never be an entrepreneur, like sales is too hard. Your brain is going to find the evidence and create the reality that sales is hard.
Yeah.
And you can't get clients. Getting clients is hard. There isn't enough out there. But if you're really sitting there and you're visualizing, and you're going through, there's certain techniques that you can do that, like, I could take people through, like, that help you get into your subconscious mind and really place that into your, either place it, you can place future events into your timeline, which is really fucking cool. You can really rewire your brain to get to that point where you're ready to take the action, and you feel like you're ready, and you feel, and your brain. So if you work to, let's see, how do we say this? If you work to training your brain that, your success is inevitable, you're $1 million business owner, your brain is going to seek the opportunities and seek the evidence that in fact is true.
Agreed.
Which is incredible. So I've been working through that, really. And there's different techniques that can be done, like, through NLP, that you could do. But I have been really working through shifting that subconscious mind to not, like, being an entrepreneur is hard. I have to stay, like, it's only a side business for me. That's great for everyone that has freedom, but, like, I can't have that. I can create whatever I want to create. What do I want to create? I want to create that I'm a 7-figure entrepreneur and I'm making incredible impact in the world, right? Like, so now my brain is starting to look for evidence of that.
Exactly.
It's awesome.
And this has been coming up the past couple of recordings, and I record on a daily basis usually now. And what you think you become. And it's so crazy that when you have that as a mindset, rather than saying, oh, I'm bad at sales, it's like, no, I'm good at sales. And actually you start figuring out how that path is going to aspire for you. And when you say you're good at sales, you actually start believing it. And it's like, in those moments, it's a lot easier for you. So
totally.
I absolutely loved that, Alyssa.
Yeah, I'm glad.
I didn't know you actually got your NLP cert. I know that we were talking about it, but I absolutely love that as well.
Yeah, I did. And it really confirmed a lot of things for me, which was so
That's right.
cool. Like that's so amazing. So now I know that
Yeah.
it's real. Like
Mm-mm.
you can reprogram your subconscious to whatever the hell you want to reprogram it to. And
Yeah.
if you tell yourself you're bad at sales, your subconscious mind takes that personally. So
Uh-huh.
you want to make sure that you're telling yourself the most, like, it's not like, it's, you don't have to be like happy all the time. You can have negative thoughts. That's fine.
Yeah.
But the general messaging that you're providing to your brain is the reality, is reflective of the reality that you create for yourself,
Yeah.
which is like wild.
And I could take that as a personal note as well within my recent shift or huge leap into
Mhm.
entrepreneurship in owning a business. Like I could have told
Yeah.
myself that I don't know what the hell I'm doing because literally I don't, but I have such insane mentors.
Yeah.
And it's like every single step, I have a mentor being like, okay, this is what we're doing. Just focus on this step. Trust the
Yeah.
process. And if you're trusting the process and you're trusting yourself, that's not only taking that courage, but it's taking the confidence knowing I have so much knowledge in my background
Yeah.
of yes, I was a city firefighter and taking that courage from being able to do all those things and my entrepreneurship. And that's so much knowledge that
Yeah.
no, I didn't know what the hell I was doing starting small business, especially in 3 different locations,
Right.
but it's been so much fun, and the fact that I had the courage to make that investment, like, I was in the runnings with I called him Mr. Moneybags, like, he it was between me and him of owning
Oh,
those 3
wow.
locations, and I thought I was nowhere in a contestant because he had, a multi-million dollar company with 2,000 employees, and he just loved the modality. It's been good for him. He lived in my areas. I was just going to
Yeah.
say the areas that I had, but the areas that I was buying, and I thought I wasn't even a contender.
Wow.
But when the president of the company called me saying the hands were all up for Lauren, Mr. Moneybags, and I was like, no way.
Wow.
Yes, and it felt
That's
so good.
incredible.
They're like, we are putting all of our confidence in for you. Like, you need to make this
Wow.
work. Like, you are putting all your
Yeah.
eggs into this basket, A, and B, like, we want you to be that ambassador for the company. Mr. Moneybags was not the ambassador that we wanted.
Mm.
So it just felt so good that a company had so much confidence within
Oh my
me.
God. That's amazing.
And I have the confidence within myself. And it's just
Yeah.
daily steps. Like anyone can
Yeah.
learn anything. And if
Absolutely.
you put your mindset to it, that's
Yeah.
what's going to get you the success. So I absolutely loved
Oh
that.
my God. I love that. And that is just like such proof that you go
Mhm.
first and the universe responds, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like you take a leap and you took a leap that you
Yeah.
didn't even know. You're like,
No.
there's no fucking way. There's no way.
No.
But
I
like,
was like, what in the hell am I doing? And I was like,
but
Lauren,
of
don't
course,
say that. You know what you're doing.
yeah, but of course you know what you're doing and you
Yeah.
can learn and you've
Yeah.
got all this, you've got so much like life experience and other business experience and like you can do it and you will and you're going to
Yeah.
thrive. And it's like, because you're confident that you will.
Yeah.
And you're telling yourself that you
And
will.
it feels really good. And one of the main things that I'm really focusing in on building my first location and my first business is the community around it and the atmosphere that I'm hiring people. Like I make sure it's a priority that everyone that I've been talking to knows that I'm really big on mindset, really big on interpersonal growth,
Yeah.
personal development. We will be like having a quarterly book, like mindset book or interpersonal growth for
I love
self-development.
that.
Yeah. So even though it is a modality within fitness, like it is really important that we're all focusing in on our personal growth. And when especially communities have a very safe environment, that's how businesses thrive. So
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
absolutely love it. I know
That's
that was a little
amazing.
bit of a tangent, Alyssa, but your
It's amazing. I
NLP,
love it. Yeah.
likewise, your NLP
Yeah.
work, I'm super excited for that as well. I think it's super important. Mindset is 100% everything. Like nobody knows what they're doing. And I think it's
Yeah.
so important that that is always said because you can learn the things that you have always thought that you you want
Yeah.
to do. Just because you don't know what
Absolutely.
you're doing now doesn't mean that you can't learn those steps. And I learned by doing. So it's like I
Yeah.
could read all the books that I want to
Same.
about franchising, but it's like
You got to jump in.
you got to jump
You
in.
got to take the leap. You know, you can't tiptoe around it. And like I've learned, this is something that I've learned over 2 years of really trying to grow my business before I jump all in.
Yeah.
Is actually, it's the opposite. You jump all in, you learn, and you grow, and you know,
100%.
You trust,
Yeah.
you know, you trust the process, you surrender. You're just like, I know I can do this.
And that's the thing is like when you take that leap of faith and you have been doing the work behind it and you have the knowledge behind it, that's when you like when you're in the moment, like you're all in and your focus is all in. And that's where you get the success from is knowing that you're like, I'm doing this. I'm making this work. And that's where you get the success of just being all in.
Absolutely.
I just got the chills, Alyssa.
I know. I love this conversation. It's so good. I know.
This is so good. And that's the thing is like, yes, unstoppable confidence. A lot of people think confidence is out there. And that's why I do bring it back with all the interpersonal work, because that's where your confidence truly does come from, is that self-development and that growth within yourself for sure.
Oh, 100%. And, you know, confidence, like I think people think like some people think confidence is like all or nothing thing. Like, even if you have confidence and you know that you're ready, that's something that you're telling yourself every day. These people that you see that you think are like confident as fuck, like they've got work that they're doing. They've done work around that to get there, and they still are doing work. It's not, you know, I'm going to take the leap and I'm going to be confident. I'm just going to be confident today. And it's like, no, like we all,
it's daily.
It's a daily decision that you are deciding that you are betting on yourself.
Yeah. There's always new situations that you're like, oh, haven't been in this one before. But instead of like freaking out in the moment, you could have a moment of freak out, but give yourself, who was it? I was talking to somebody or listening to a podcast. It was actually a real estate podcast, but they were talking about confidence and how you are able to work through shitty situations. Like if you have a shit storm and you need to freak out, freak out. But honestly, put yourself on a timer. Like it sounds stupid.
Totally. Yeah.
But put yourself on a damn timer. Don't freak out for months on end. Like give yourself like an hour, 2 hours, maybe the rest of the day. But wake up and know, okay, that happened. How am I going to solve this? Exactly.
Yeah. And one of the things that's so important, like one of the things I learned in NLP training is like, if you are not able to necessarily lean on yourself, see the proof in others, because if you see something in someone, you have that in you as well. So if you see someone who is crushing it in franchising and having like, you know, they have 10 locations and they're making millions of dollars. And it's like, that's great. We all start somewhere and you can use them as evidence that that it's possible. And then think, you know, what do I have within me that I know that I can do this, right? Like, what are my resources, whether they're, you know, internal resources of like the life experience you have, your, you know, your tenacity, whatever it is like that you feel you have within you. And then also like what resources outside of you do you have? And like, once you realize that and you really take that, you're like, oh wait, I can do this. This is possible for me too. This person probably like everyone starts somewhere.
Exactly. And when you have those mentors in your field, and that's why I love to talk about mentorship as well. I always think it's so important, but finding that mentor in your certain niche, because it is possible whatever you want to do, but finding that mentor. So you have that like shining light of like, because I do have one as well. He has 300 locations of a franchise.
Wow.
And it's like, I know, I'm like 300. That makes no sense. But like, but it does make sense.
But it does. It does.
It does. And that's
just,
the thing is like building that business. Like you don't have to be in contact with every single person. Like I'm going to be having 30 to 40 employees. To me,
Wow.
that's illogical. But at the same time, it's not like
But it's not.
there is
You're
a
doing that.
structure. Like there
Yeah.
is a structure that the franchise has already laid out for me. And they were like, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna start here and then we're gonna build this, and then we're gonna go over here and do this. Like,
Yeah.
and it's crazy, like when you're and this is where I love to talk about intuition and going with your gut, because when I partnered with my franchise broker, I told him that I wanted something recession proof, that I didn't want a lot of
Mhm.
employees, that I wanted
Yeah.
like all these things. And I was about ready to partner with a franchise that was restoration, right? Because everyone, like if you have a leak or if you have mold in your house, you're
Mhm.
100% always going to fix it, right? But
Yeah.
for some reason, it just wasn't, I just didn't feel aligned with it. Like, yeah, my fire background, yeah, it's great. The comps were great. I was like, that's great, you know. But when I saw Stretch Lab, I like everything on the like my front of what I technically quote unquote wanted. I don't want to say it went
Mhm.
out the window, but like I was so aligned with the
Yeah.
franchise that I partnered with that I was like, yes, I'll be working with people, but I didn't even think about the fact that I'm growing on social media and I love talking to people, and growing a
Yeah.
community is huge to me. And I actually
Yeah.
get to do that within locations now. So I am so stoked that I
Yeah. It's gonna be
did
incredible.
make that mindset shift of,
Yeah.
okay. And the thing is, like, when I was like partnering with them, it wasn't even a thought in my mind. Yeah, that the ability to be recession proof was a thought in
Mhm.
my mind, but my franchise grew astronomically in COVID.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's just
Yeah.
a definitely a side note of really following your intuition as well when you're making these huge shifts of, yes, you can move yourself in confidence
Yeah.
and go through the scary things, but also making sure that you're aligned within what you want. And I know we both are, right?
Absolutely.
But
Yeah, and if you're
it's a huge
not,
topic.
then
Yeah.
yeah, and if you're not, if you had gone with that other company
Yeah.
that like
I would
does
have been like, great, this is
fixes the
fun.
pipes and shit, like you would
Yeah.
have been like, I don't care about this. Like, yeah, I'm
No.
collecting a check, but
Yeah.
like I don't want to get in the business and build a community. I don't want to do the marketing for
Yeah.
it. I'm not
No.
interested. Like, it's
Didn't.
not fun. And like
No.
this is something that you found that is like
Yeah.
you get to, yes, you get to, be at the top of those franchises and collect
Yeah.
money or and like whatever it is that you're
But it's
doing,
the
and like
passion.
but you get to be
Yeah.
there and build the community and take
Yeah.
advantage, like, and that is something that's priceless. Like you would have
Yeah.
been like, yeah, like I'm making all this money, but like I also don't care. Like you
Yeah,
did the other one.
exactly. And my franchise broker, when I was deciding between the two, his question was, Lauren, if your business goes sideways, which one of these two businesses would you be able to dig deep and be able to turn things around? And there was no question. I was like,
Yeah,
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
yeah,
So I was like, don't
that's not
care
a
about
question at
home
all.
restoration. Sorry.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
don't.
Exactly.
So to
Yeah.
get back to you, Alyssa, besides your legal businesses, because I know we briefly talked about the energetics and
Mhm.
crystals, what are you doing within that, and how does that kind of work together with the legal side of your entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so I just like crystals to me
Mhm.
are incredible. So, it's like they provide so much healing that, is from the earth,
Yeah.
right? And I'm very connected to nature, connected to the earth, and I think in crystals for some they like hold energy.
Yeah.
And they're really, and like I've like literally like you can have there's certain crystals for like abundance or peace and tranquility, and like they work like
Mhm.
they really do. And it's just something that I think really I've been working on how to put them together, but I think it's like, so someone told me, someone I was speaking with was like, what you do is you help people get legally protected and spiritually connected. And it's like
Ooh, I love
that
that.
that's it, right? Like
Yeah.
everything I do is for
Yeah.
those things. And I feel very passionate about the fact that getting legally protected is a spiritual act, right?
Oh yeah.
In and it helps you. And like one of the things is like you can't just sit around and wait for manifestations to materialize. You
Mhm.
have to take the aligned action that is going to
Yeah.
get you there as well. And so, getting the legal in order is helping you really step into your power and step into your like, I'm a fucking CEO. Like, this is
Yeah.
me. Like, I am, and so crystals also help you get connected spiritually, helps you get connected. They can help you get connected to your intuition, so what
Mhm.
business moves to make. They can help you, you know, get more spiritually, open up your channel so that, if you're creating programs like or creating content, like things come through easier. There's so much that crystals do, and they're also beautiful. And so I really, really love, and I love like energetic healing, and crystals really help provide that. And so
Yeah. No, I think those things
yeah,
that makes so much sense, Alyssa, because entrepreneur, and I guess I'm gonna kind of put this at a personal note as well, of like
yeah.
that grounding is so important.
Hmm.
And when you're grounded and you have that complete alignment, then we take that aligned action as
Yeah,
well. And those two
yeah,
things for you, having the grounding of crystals and then having that protection within the law, so you know that your exponential growth is super important.
yeah,
And that's funny. It goes right back to my podcast. At first, I was
yeah,
like, yeah, I'm going to start a podcast, Unstoppable Confidence. We'll just see where it goes with it, you know? And now that I've been grounded and I absolutely love it, I'm like having that aligned protection. Yes,
yeah,
I have been having some gnarly guests on my podcast that I'm like, okay, I see you, universe. It is
yeah,
really important. I really do
yeah,
think that this other podcast coming in has made me believe that I am on the right path and I do get
absolutely.
to just skyrocket from here. So
Hell yeah,
I
you
loved that,
do. I love
Alyssa.
it. Yes,
So how
yes.
can people find I absolutely loved our conversation today,
Me
Alyssa.
too. I could go on forever. There's so
I
much more I
know.
could say,
I
but
know.
we will keep it like not 7 hours.
I know. Where can people find you? What is something that's coming up for you that people might want to tune
Yeah,
into? Where can people find you the most? All
yeah.
the great things.
So I have two things that I would
Yeah.
love to talk about. So one, I would love to offer your audience. I'm not
Mhm.
sure how we do this in Bullhorn, but I know we can do it in
Yep.
podcasting show notes. I would love to
Yes.
offer.
Podcasting show notes, 100%.
I would love to offer your audience a free consultation with me. I
Love
generally
it.
charge for those, and I think that I would just love if anyone like kind of felt the zing of like, oh, it's time for me to really get my legal in order. I would love to
Yeah.
just no strings attached chat with you and see if it's a good fit, and see if like maybe a 15-minute conversation is just all you need to really get your
Yeah.
shit together. But I would just love to offer that to anyone listening.
I love
And
that.
also, so my crystal company, I will give you the link for the Instagram for that, because
Okay.
that's right now we're only on Instagram. I'm working on like which website I want to do, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
That's not my zone of genius. So
Yeah.
so yeah, and so so not only do we have, beautiful crystals on that page, but also we are about to announce a retreat where we
Ooh,
go pick our own crystals, and
interesting.
it's going to be incredible. And so if you're interested in that, like definitely give us a follow, because that's I'm really excited about that. It's going to be fun.
Interesting.
It's going to
I
be super
absolutely
fun.
love that.
My
And
goal
where's
is
that going to be
to
located?
So right now I'm thinking around Asheville, North Carolina, which is like
Wow.
so beautiful, but there's so many places around the country where we can do that, and that's open
Yeah.
to the public, and we can pick our own crystals and
Okay.
different kinds, like all around. So this one, I forget exactly what is in North Carolina. I think it's a lot of quartz, which is
Ooh,
really beautiful, and you can actually go and like get your own, which is like,
that's
and see how it's
interesting.
done.
Yeah.
So I decided to create a retreat around that, and I'm hoping that I can do a bunch all around the country every year. So
Wow.
yeah, so
I
that's
absolutely
coming up.
love that, Alyssa. My sister lives up in Washington and she has a rock tumbler because she has stones in her yard. I
That's
don't know
awesome.
which ones. There's a number of different kinds, but all of her neighbors have little rock tumblers to shine all of the stones that
Yeah,
they find. So I love
it's
it.
amazing. Yeah.
I absolutely love it. So what is your Instagram handle?
So I have two. So my Instagram was hacked, which is what I was kind of referring to earlier. Lost my whole audience. I was like, this is the end. It's over. And then
yes. And it's been happening so much lately.
Oh my God. Yeah. So we had the temper tantrum. Now we're good. I'm rebuilding. So seriously, like it was not good for a while. Like there was a while where I was like, whatever. I guess I'm just done now. Like I'm done with business. Like, no, we can rebuild. There's the reason this happened. Yeah. We were supposed to rebuild, and that's fine. So my Instagram for my legal and NLP is alyssacaner.co. So I think the account that was hacked is still up. But it's not active by me. I have no access to it. I can't even see it. I've been blocked, which was just my name without the .co. So the .co is me now. And then my crystal business is called Earth Soul Provisions, and that is the Instagram handle. So I will send you the links for all those as well if people desire to follow.
I absolutely love it, Alyssa. As you could tell, she has so much knowledge within business protection for entrepreneurs, and she is so aligned with helping you skyrocket your business through the protection and also that grounding experience as well. And those two things are so super aligned, Alyssa. So I'm so stoked for you and your recent endeavors about just jumping in. It's been a while, so it's not anything that's crazy. So I'm stoked that you have come to that conclusion. I know for me, it took a while as well, and that's the thing. It's a journey. So
and there were definitely people that are like, "Fuck it, I'm in. Like, let's do this," and they skyrocket, and that's awesome. Yeah. I'm an overthinker. So
I'm an overthinker as well.
It took me a very long time to not listen to anyone else's opinions and just go for it. So we're doing
And that's the thing is like, you could do this for a couple years. And I mean, that's the thing, you will have success, but just the fact is that just because you make this decision doesn't mean that you can't pivot in the future as well.
Exactly.
So I absolutely love that you're jumping in, Alyssa. You are going to have so much success. And that's the thing is everyone needs the protection. So
it's true. It's true. Yeah.
So I love it. Thank you for all tuning in today to Unstoppable Confidence. And you know that I will be talking to Alyssa in the near future about trademarking for Unstoppable Confidence podcast. Alyssa, I will be messaging you.
Yes, I need to do that for you.
Yes, 100%. I already wrote down notes that I was like, as you saw me like write down things in the middle of the show. I just wanted to say thank you so much for your knowledge and being such a kind-hearted human, because there's a need for so many more people like you. So thank you so much again.
Thank you so much. This was so much fun. I love
it. It was so much fun, Alyssa. So on that, loves, I will see you on the next episode. And Alyssa, I will be DMing you, love.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye. I hope you are so excited about where you're going, because I know I'm excited for you. Thank you so much for listening in today. If you loved this episode, it would mean the world to me if you shared it with a girlfriend or posted it on social media. Tag me so I could personally say thank you. I am so grateful. And until next time,